Okay. All right. Welcome everybody to another edition of Learn Photography with Duck. As always, I am your host, Duck, and this is episode 19 of this year. Going by fast. All right. So last week I mentioned that I had a couple of things that we could discuss. One was, the minimalist um, type of photography and editing, which we actually did. The other one was going over some of the new things that are in Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Lightroom. So I figure what we'll do is we'll just go over what's new in Lightroom with the latest edition. If we get a chance, which we probably will, we can even get into some of the Photoshop stuff. Although the Photoshop here, I'll just give you a quick selection, quick thing. The latest edition of Photoshop basically just added dynamic text. So if you are a graphic artist that works with a lot of text, it'll be interesting for you, but most of you guys don't do that stuff. So, that's why I kind of put it on the back shelf for today. But Lightroom did add some interesting things. Some things that I think are worth it, and some things that most people will go, eh. All right, so let me switch over to the desktop real quick. Two things that were actually, hold on 1 second. I don't know if I have here. Let me go back here. Two things that were added in I believe in the beta version of Camera Raw a while back, which also made it available through Photoshop, was the distraction removal tool, where it just looks for wires and people and things like that. Well, they've implemented it into Lightroom with the people, looking for people who are like in the background, and reflections. They haven't done anything with wires yet, and I'm sure that'll be down the road. But as far as, and I think it might be in the regular Lightroom version, not the Lightroom Classic. But basically, it's removing people. Let me see, and it has, of course, its ups and downs. Let me see if I can find a suitable. All right. This might be interesting for those of you who photograph within crowds. The only problem is that it does have its limitations. And what I did is, let me see if I can find the, all right, here it is. I think this was it. Oops, wrong one. Give me a second. Where did I put it? When you need it, you don't got it. When you got it, of course, I should have had it ready for you guys. Here it is. All right. Let me switch over to desktop. All right. this one here is photograph taken at a car show. This is the one that Bill and I went to last year. So Bill, you'll probably be familiar with some of these, some of this stuff here. But
Yeah, I vaguely remember, but go ahead.
yeah, yeah, it was a fun day. This was
Where was this? My
this
mind's
was Booth Memorial Park in Stratford.
that was not me. You went with somebody else.
That
Sorry.
wasn't was it you, Brian? Then I know it was one of you guys.
No, I haven't been to Booth with you yet, Duck.
No, I could have sworn it was you, Bill, but I could be wrong. Anyway, one of the things, of course, when you're photographing in a community environment is background people. And sometimes you want to clean up the image by getting rid of people in the background because as you understand, one of the things that happens is whenever we see a human, a face, our eye tends to gravitate towards faces. It's we are hardwired for this. So what happens is, we're looking at, we want to attract the viewer's eye to the subject. But if there's a face in the background, it immediately becomes a problem because, like I said, we're hardwired to want to investigate other people in the image. So it's nice to be able to remove it. All right. And if we see here, we have a person here, we have people here, and we have a group of people here. All right. So one of the things that is available to us is being able to remove distractions by using AI. So Lightroom's artificial intelligence. So this is in the spot removal tool. If we click on that, of course, we have three different. We have to remove, we have the heal, and we have the clone stamp. And what we'll do is we'll find it in the remove. You'll see that it says use generative AI and detect objects. Okay, so this can come in handy. But what they've added is right below here, they've added another little tab that says distraction removal. And we only see two right now. What we're going to see is reflections and people. All right. In camera raw, I believe we have wires as one of the selections. I'm pretty sure eventually that will end up here sometime in the future. So just be aware of that. So, what'd I do? So what we're going to do is we're going to drop down where it says people. And as soon as you drop that down, it's going to automatically, let's see, it's going to automatically detect the people. All right. Well, oh, here it is. I probably should have removed my previous one. Okay. All right. So we see that there's people in throughout the thing. All right. So as soon as we drop it down, we'll see that it highlights it. Okay. And if it misses anything, unlike the remove tool, you can't add to the selection, which is a bit on the frustrating side. So it basically uses the AI in order to identify. You can remove selections if you want to keep a particular element all you got to do is just click on it and hit the delete key, or as you can see here, it says selected, and then it gives you the trash barrel. You're able to just click on that and it will remove that selection. So like we have this one here. I don't know, is there people there? So let's go ahead and delete that. Oh yeah, there is a person there. Okay. So it has its limitations. It's not as flexible as I would like it to be, but it does a fairly decent job of identifying people. All right. So once you've identified all the people, just click on the remove tool, and you can see that it does a fairly decent job of removing. However, it does not give you the multiple options like the remove tool. All right. And I'll go over that in a little bit. So you can see that even though it removed all those objects, and of course, we have the little eyeball that we can toggle on and off. So that's, with the remove, without the remove, vice versa, without the remove, with the remove. So you can see that it does some crazy things. If we look at it here, the car top looks a little strange. Okay. It added this hood here. Let's see. All right. Well, there was a little bit of a hood visible right in here. This was visible. So I guess it did okay. But it missed these people. All right. And it really screwed up that car a little bit. Now,
Hey, Doc,
yeah.
I will have an ethics question about exporting. I can ask it here, or if you prefer I ask it later, I'll ask it later.
Export. Yeah, let me go over these features, and then we'll cover your questions. Okay. Is that
Thank
okay?
you.
All right.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thank you.
Cool. All right. So, like I said, it does some weird things. All right. If we look up in here, all right, it kind of left part of the hood there. It removed the people, but it left part of the hood there. Okay. So the only way to fix any of this is to just go ahead and go to the remove tool, and we can make our selections and use the AI to finish up whatever it couldn't do. All right, and it does a fairly decent job. Oh, I missed part of her hair, so let me delete that. Okay, there we go. All right, if it misses something, just touch it up. See, and like I said, this is one of the nice things about this particular tool is that if you miss something, you can add it, okay? And if it covers too much, you just press the Alt or the Option key, and you can erase part of it. All right. So if it's overlapping too much into something you don't want, you can erase it. All right. Just hit the Add key, hit the Subtract key, or like I said, when you're on the screen, just hit the Alt or Option key, and it will automatically switch to the Subtract. Okay. And remove. All right. And then, of course, the benefit is you have 3 options for all of these. Okay, so if that doesn't look good, you just go to the next one. That looks a little bit more realistic. And then 3, no, we'll go and we'll stay with number 2. Okay, We'll click on this here, add those, go ahead and remove that. The other thing I noticed, okay, and here it is. The other thing I noticed is sometimes when you pick out a group of 2 or more people and you say remove, it does this. Well, it removed the majority, but it created a whole new person. All right. So I don't know if you can see it here. All right. It got rid of the other 2 people, but it left 1. And the reason I think for this is because through the windshield, you can see the upper part of somebody's body. So it's assuming that there's a person there. Okay. But even without that, I've noticed that this tool will sometimes add people unnecessarily. All right. Yeah, see, so let me remove that. See if we can make a better selection. All right, and maybe if we just remove that part, see if that'll preserve it. All right. Much better. All right, number 1, number 2. Oh, that looks even better. And number 3, no, I like number 2 better because it preserves that hood. Okay. And of course, you can get rid of normal distractions like this chair that's peeking out from behind the sedan here. We can just kind of select that. Notice that it missed some things, so we can go ahead and paint in the things that it missed. And we can paint out things that we don't want it to consider. There we go. And we click on to remove. And that's 1. That looks pretty good. 2. That's kind of like a little weird. And 3. Oh, that looks weird too. Okay. If you don't like any of them, you can always hit the regenerate again, and it will give you 3 whole new ones. All right. Now, one of the things that I found about these remove tools that uses artificial imagery to kind of put in something similar, it tends to be a hit and miss, as you saw. But the other thing that I notice is sometimes because you were there, first of all, you know what was actually behind the person, or you are familiar with the object that is behind the person, the AI can't make that distinction. It just fills it in what it assumes it should be, and it makes something up. And oftentimes what I'm finding myself doing is, no, that's not what it is. Okay? And kind of rejecting it. But if we take a step back and says, okay, well, it isn't what it is, but it disguises what I'm removing well enough that it's okay. And the reason I say this is because what is the goal that we are trying to accomplish with this particular edit? We want to get rid of distractions in order to bring attention to our main subject. So even though the removal of the distraction isn't 100% authentic, if it's good enough where people aren't going to be drawn to that area where the correction is, it doesn't matter. Okay? Now, obviously something like this car top that looks like it's been cut off, that might be a little weird. Okay. And that's something that might need to be kind of corrected.
But it's a car show. You don't know.
But it is, yes, and that's the point. All right. There's enough busyness, enough confusion that, you know, if there's a certain amount of ambiguity, it's okay. It works, you know. And of course, if there isn't, okay, well, then we have to figure out a workaround to making it better. All right. So if these particular tools aren't doing the job that you want, well, then you have other options. You can go into Photoshop and be a little bit more clinical about it, a little bit more surgical about your fix. Okay. Oh, I almost forgot this little thing up here, that left part of my of that hood after it moved the people. So there we go. That's good enough. Okay. So any questions about the remove tool, the people remove? All right. I tried to find something in my library that had reflections, glass reflections, in order to showcase the reflections tool. And I figure, oh, well, you know, I'm at a car show. There's all kinds of reflections on the sides of the cars here. That would be perfect. So,
Oh, okay. Because I just, while you were doing this, I was trying to use Lightroom here, and the only picture that came up had a reflection. So I was like, oh, let me try this. And the reflection didn't work. It was a
yeah,
reflection in the puddle.
yep. That's the only drawback. It does not recognize reflections on metallic surfaces like the cars. It only recognizes reflections in windows,
Oh,
store
okay.
windows, things like that, where you're actually photographing the reflection alongside of what's behind that reflection. All right. So
Oh, because I got one picture that's really bad with window reflection. I gotta try it later.
yeah,
Thank you.
if
All right.
all right, and even that I find it's a little wonky. You get varying results. The one thing you have to realize, it probably will not completely remove the reflections, but then again, you know, a lot of times when you're photographing something with a reflection, the reflection plays into the story that you're trying to tell anyway. What we're trying to do is minimize that reflection so it doesn't become a distraction, and that's exactly what this tool is supposed to be. It's supposed to reduce or remove distractions. Okay. If you completely remove um, reflections from a plate glass, then all of a sudden the story changes where you're not photographing through a plate glass. It would be as if you're photographing through, you know, with a removed wall. All right. So some reflection is good, and over abundance of reflections may be too distracting. Okay. So it does have the ability to modify how much you apply. All right. So we've applied the reflection tool here. All right. Even though we can identify what the reflection is, the AI has not been built to determine reflections on vehicles. So if we go to reduce those reflections, you can see that it does nothing. And if we go too much, what it's doing is it's altering overall exposure like this and just making it, go wonky. All right. So I was a little disappointed because I go, oh man, now wouldn't it be great to just, be able to isolate one of these cars from the background and then remove the reflection, and then you have a nice, beautifully isolated vehicle that you took in this cramped space, you know? So being able to remove all the background vehicles and the reflections, oh, that would have been golden. But unfortunately, too much to ask for. But anyway, so that's that with that tool. Any questions on any of these? Like I said, unfortunately, I did not have anything in my collection with some kind of glass. I know I have some somewhere, but I couldn't find it. All right. Okay. The next one is not necessarily something that's new. It was introduced about a year ago, and that's the denoise. The only problem with the denoise previously was that it took you to a modification window where you applied the denoise, and it applied it to a second version of your original file. So basically it creates a new file, applies the denoise, and then re-imports it as a new DNG file, which is the digital negative file, with the denoise added to it. So that meant once you've applied that denoise, that's it. You couldn't do anything else. All right. It was pretty much baked in. And not only that, it made additional generation of your image. All right. Now, for some people, it's not a big deal. They're okay with generating multiple versions of an image. It's something that, if we go back long enough in history with using Photoshop, we had to make generations and generations. Every time we made some kind of modification, we made a new generation in order to preserve what was done, simply because the way it was set up, it was not very it wasn't very destructive safe. It wasn't safe from destructive editing. All right. With Lightroom, they introduced non-destructive editing. All right. And for the most part, they kept it, but I guess when they developed the denoise, they weren't able to do it non-destructively. So that's why they said, well, we've got to generate a new one, apply the denoise, and then re-import it back as a separate file in Lightroom. Well, now they've made it non-destructive. And they made it so you don't have to export to a second file. Okay. So here I have a, this image was taken in New York, and basically what I did, here's the original. What I was looking to do is, find a shaft of light and get a person in the shaft of light. But I was with a couple people, so it's not like I could spend a long time trying to get the right one. So I just took this one. I got rid of these two people here. I got rid of these people. I got rid of this person. And then I added my own, whatchamacallit, my own shadow. Okay. And this is what I came up with. Okay. But if we look at it, my ISO, all right, if we look up here, I'm shooting at a very high ISO, 6400. Okay. And on top of that, if you know that when you start brightening up any dark areas on a high ISO image, it just amplifies the noise. All right. That's why I usually say, you know, shoot a little bit brighter and then reduce it down. But anyway, I didn't have it with this one. So now if we look at this at 100%, and hopefully that comes across in the video, how grainy this is and how, you know, really just, it looks terrible. And then if we look over here by the window, you'll see that we have a lot of graininess going on here as well. All right, so previously, oh, and you can see that there's a shift in graininess, all right, from where I removed the people. All right, so if we look, you can see the actual mask from where it used the AI remove here. All right. So this is nice and smooth, and this is all grainy. All right. So we want to just kind of balance this out. Okay. So where it's at, it's now in the detail section. All right. So if you go to the detail tab, at the very top, you're going to see denoise, raw details, and super resolution, which we'll cover in a second. Okay. And all you got to do is just basically click on whichever one you want. Now, the thing with raw details is just renamed from previously it was just enhanced detail. All right, that's all it is. Okay. Usually by itself, it's probably not going to do very, very much. All right. But the one thing you'll notice when you click on denoise, all right, so let's go ahead and click on denoise here. All right. It's going to go through the AI process. All right. When you click on denoise, when it does the process, it's going to automatically check the raw detail. So that's going to be an automatic function of the denoise. And I believe, I'm pretty sure it's also an automatic function of the super resolution. Okay.
Hey, Duck,
Yeah.
is this disabled if you're working on a JPEG?
Oh, you know what? I did not check that.
Okay.
I typically don't shoot JPEG, so it didn't even occur. But
Yeah, I have JPEG when I stuff comes from my camera. I'm no.
Okay.
Let me re-say that. When it
all
comes
right.
from my phone.
Brian,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
glad you asked that question because I was trying to find it under sharpening. I couldn't. And then I looked, and it's like, oops, I called up a JPEG photo. So it
Well, it's
doesn't work on JPEG.
yeah. Now the original one before this update, it was only for raw photos. It was
Okay,
That's
not.
why,
this is
but it's called RAW. That's why I was wondering if that was the description was part of sort of answered the question. You know, this is
yeah.
for raw photos.
I
Well,
have the latest. I have the latest version of Lightroom, and this, I called up a JPEG, and the option is not here.
okay.
Let me see what
All
happens if I
right.
call up a. Uh,
All right.
okay.
So here we have the denoise applied, and you can see that it really, really smoothed it out. and it smoothed it out a little bit too much, where now it looks much smoother. All right, so if we look at this section and compare it to this section, and this is, I don't understand this all that much. I haven't really played too much. Okay. I don't know if order plays a factor in this, and I guess we can probably test it out. But you can see how the patch where we got rid of the people now, or previously, looks smoother than our JPEG or a raw file. Now it's the opposite. That one has texture, while the processed one does not. Okay. So the
Maybe you did it in
thing,
the wrong order.
well, yeah, that's what I'm wondering, is maybe we should apply the denoise first and then apply the remove. So that brings up a really good point. Now, one way we can do it is we can come over here, click on this, and hit regenerate, and see if it will now do it. Okay, regenerate. Okay. And yes. All right. Now, and I think I mentioned this previously. One of the other things they added last time was this little symbol right up here. Actually, here, let me zoom in. This little symbol, all right, which is the AI refresh. AI refresh. And notice that it's not white like the other icons. It's turned that golden orange color, all right? That's telling me that, hey, there's something going on here. All right. So when I click on that, it shows me all the AI features that are applied to this image. And lo and behold, here's one that says remove, that needs to be resynchronized with the image, right? So we know that if we do it by hand, it's going to automatically synchronize it. Okay. Here, let me go back to here. Let me pull this up here so you can see this. All right. So here we go. Oops. Where it says remove, and you see that that box is highlighted. So that tells you that the remove needs to be updated, and we have that refresh symbol. So all you got to do is hit that refresh symbol, or just hit the update button, and it will update everything that the system has identified needs to be updated, and voila, it now matches. All right, now here's the thing. Oops. Here's the thing. All right. With the denoise, we have the ability to use a slider. All right. And notice that it's at 50%. Okay. That allows us to control the amount of denoise that is being applied. All right. And one of the things that I've noticed, even with the previous denoise, and there is another denoise function here that I'll go over very quickly, which is my old method of doing denoise, is that oftentimes it makes it look a little bit too plasticky. All right, if you get the meaning, where it's too smooth. So a lot of the inherent texture that we expect to see is gone. All right, so we want to bring some of that texture back, and we just bring that slider down. All right, and I tend to go in small increments. And I want to actually bring back some of that noise, because an image without a lot of noise just, it looks fake. And the problem nowadays is there is so much AI imagery out there that very smooth, very textureless feature is a tell that something's been AI generated. So now one of the tools we as a photographer have to fight that accusation that your image is AI is by manipulating the noise in your image. If your image has noise, it can't really be AI, because AI images don't have noise. Make sense? People are weird, but that's the reality we live in. All right, so I just bring back a little bit of noise. Okay. All right, now, previously to this, I was not a fan of generating additional views of my images, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm a fairly lazy photographer. I don't want to do more work than I need to. All right. And that also goes to adding more files to my system than I need. All right. So for me, the previous generation, oh, here we go. And it also says update to remove. The previous generation of the denoise tool created a secondary file. So I actually found a workaround. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove the denoise from this. Okay. And I'm not going to worry about these patches. I just want to concentrate on the denoise here. Okay. Because we have a legacy denoise, which is the manual noise reduction. All right. Where if we increase the luminance slider, okay, it added that denoise feature. Okay. And you can see that it gives you a pretty weird results. Okay. You really had to kind of bump it up really, really far in order for it to do anything. All right. So let me just bump it up 150. All right. Detail, bring the detail down, bring the radius down. All right. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm hitting the wrong one. Luminance, here we go. Contrast, bring that up to 100%. And we get that really fake plasticky stuff, so we have to reduce it down. Okay. All right. And just manipulate it. Okay. And it does a fairly decent job, but certain aspects of it got a little bit soft. Okay. So one of the things that I did is I created a preset where it added a denoise mask. Okay. And let me pull up the mask, the denoise mask here. Okay. And what it did is it pretty much used the detail panel to use the noise reduction in the detail panel, which you can see does a slightly better job. All right. It doesn't look as plasticky. All right. And the nice thing is that you can control the amount. So it became a non-destructive way for me to reduce noise while also maintaining the ability to edit it. Okay. And because it was applied as a mask, once the mask was applied, once I had the mask applied, I had the ability to use the amount slider from the mask to manipulate, okay, the amount. So I can reduce it down so I still maintain some level of noise without it going too plasticky. Okay. Now that they fixed the denoise, I don't think I'll be using the mask tool. All right. But that was my workaround for the previous problem. All right. Okay. Any questions on the demask tool? The denoise tool? Demask. I'm losing it.
So it sounds like if you're working on RAW, you've got three different ways to come at denoise.
Yes. Yes.
And if you're working on a JPEG, you've got two, I guess, with the luminance and the
Yes.
manual, and then you're going down into what you just did.
Exactly. Oops.
Okay.
All right. And the excuse me. The other thing is when you are using any AI tool, as we noticed before, when you have AI remove and then you apply AI denoise, you have to update the AI remove. All right. Which can get confusing because now the more AI tools you start implementing into your editing, the more updates you're going to need to do as your edit progresses. And if you get into a very complex set of editing, what happens is all of a sudden now you're playing this back and forth with updating the AI edits because something that you just added, which is AI generated, messed something up. All right. So the nice thing about using the mask method of noise reduction, it's independent of any of the AI tools because it sits on top. All masks sit on top of everything else. So it doesn't matter what happens with your AI remove, it adds the denoise automatically, okay, because it's independent. Okay. All right. Any questions?
Yes, I have one.
Yeah.
Let me. You were showing us the refresh if AI noticed, and it looked like you were pointing on one module, but then I don't know if you went from one module to the next, but it looked like the first one was yellow, and then you went,
Oh,
and then it wasn't yellow, but
yeah.
you hit the refresh button anyway.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So if you look up here, you're gonna see, in that top little toolbar where it has your crop, your remove, and all those. This new symbol, which is the AI refresh. Okay. So it's independent of any other tool. All right. So when you open this up, it just opens up a little pop-up window and it's going to list any tools. No, let me rephrase that. Any AI tool that is applied to your image is going to be shown here. Okay. So right now, because I got rid of the AI denoise, it's only showing the AI remove. All right. And because I removed the AI denoise, now the AI remove is out of sync. All right. And this is the problem that I mentioned before, where now we have to play catch up with all these AI tools. So yeah, AI tools are great,
Oh God, that's
but
funny.
it's introducing a new problem. All right. So we
So
just had,
they were both yellow. Is just the way the display is. It appeared as though one wasn't. It's always yellow when it needs
uh,
to be
no,
updated.
just the one that needs to be updated. If
Okay.
both need to be updated, then they will both be yellow. All right.
Okay.
So, um, uh, yeah, let me see if we can do this one here. Um, so this one here has distraction of removal people, and then we have remove. Okay. If either one of these two needed to be refreshed, you would see the colored box around one and not the other. If both needed to be refreshed, then you would see the box around both, the color box. Okay.
Okay. And one or both will turn that yellow that recycled uh,
Correct. Any of these, if any of
icon.
these become out of sync, that symbol there will turn gold.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Okay. All right. This one here, Alan, I think you'll love this one because as a wildlife shooter, sometimes you just can't get close to your subject and you need the power of magnification. All right. And often we rely on the magnification of our lens. But sometimes we need the power of magnification by cropping. All right. And you know that when you crop, you have a certain amount of pixels at your disposal. When you crop in, you are in effect throwing out a lot of pixels. So now we have the ability to regain pixels. Okay. And that is with the super resolution. All right. So I just pulled this one up just as an example. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and actually before I do that, uh, who's messaging me? Okay, I want you to pay attention to the information. Oh, let me let me move out of the way. There we go. Pay attention to the information up here, okay? Because it's going to give you your the resolution information. So right now we have 3700 by 5600 pixels. Okay. Now I have this set up so that when I crop, it's going to give me the crop resolution. So pay attention to that number. As I crop in, you see how that number just gets smaller? Let me just straighten that out a little bit. Okay. So now we have 2000 by 3000. Okay. All right. So 2000 by 3000. We go to our, where was it? Detail panel. And we have super resolution. And we just go ahead and click on that. Wait for it to do its thing. It's actually using the Adobe Sensei AI, which is cloud-based. Okay. And bam, now look at the resolution. It doubled it. We've gone from 2000 to 4000. And if we look at the detail, look at that detail. It preserved all the detail. I mean, look at that. You can see the cut stone. All right. You can see All right. And of course, this is fully editable. So we can come here and we can go to our basic panel and we can increase our texture, increase our clarity. All right. To bring some of that back in if we need to. All right.
So it's editing the raw file though.
It's
It
editing.
did not go into a TIFF. You're editing the raw file.
It's yes. Yes. Absolutely. You are still within the raw file. See? Raw right up here. CR2. All right. And of course, it's giving me a warning. All right. My adaptive profile needs to be modified. So we can go ahead and click on that. Minor change. We can just open up our shadows, maybe drop our highlights. No, maybe not. There's no detail in that sky. So, yeah, no detail in that sky. So not going to bother about it.
So
All right.
where in the workflow does this come in? Because you're doing the raw file. I mean, if you've done some other, yeah.
So what I would normally do is, because it is an AI feature, all right, it's going to, of course, affect any other AI. Like you saw, it affected my whatchamacallit, my adaptive color profile. All right, that was minor. Okay, but the thing is, I don't want to be updating constantly. So typically, when you're going to crop in for one of your bird photos, so I would consider that part of the very beginning workflow where you're normalizing your image. Okay, typically in the past I used to say, crop last. That way you can play around with your cropping and you don't have to worry about, how you edited things. But because the cropping now kind of affects the super resolution, I would do that at the beginning. All right. Because now if we wait to the end, we've applied all our edits. We've done our normalization, we've done our exposures, our colors, our textures. We got it looking the way we want, and then now we apply a crop. The crop says, okay, we're going on. I'm sorry, not the crop, the super resolution. We crop in, we enlarge it, and now because it's AI, anything that was AI previous will need to be updated. Okay, maybe not all of them.
Any value to doing a super resolution on the whole image?
Yeah, if
and then cropping later?
You can. You're just going to have a bigger file size.
I'm already
Well,
dealing
actually,
with
let me see. This is a good question. Let's see if that makes a difference.
I mean, that would give you more latitude.
Yeah, actually,
too,
you know what? You probably can do it at the end. It doesn't seem to do. It doesn't seem to matter. Yeah, you can do it at the end. Just realize that when you upscale, or no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I do it at the beginning. Is what I meant. I'm thinking old school here. Do it at the beginning, all right? Because any AI that you apply will be applied to the enlarged version, all right? And you don't want to be updating all that when you enlarge it at the end. Did I confuse you?
Yeah.
All
One
right.
more time. One more time.
One more time. All right. It used to be I would do my cropping at the end. Okay. But what I would do with this case, if you know you're going to crop in tight, okay, prepare the file ahead of time. Make it larger at the beginning. All right, because you know somewhere along on the way you're going to crop small. You're going to crop tight. So you're going to need the super resolution. Okay? So go ahead and create the super resolution at the beginning, because now you can apply additional AI tools that
Okay.
will not be affected should you decide to upscale at the end. All right, because if you upscale anything that has AI, the AI needs to regenerate to the upscaled version.
Okay.
So do it at the beginning. All
All right.
right.
Thank you.
Are you saying do the upscale first and then the crop, or crop first then
Well, no,
upscale?
the crop can be done whenever, but if you
Okay.
know you're going to be cropping in tight, okay, do the upscale first. If you're not cropping, then what do you need to upscale for?
I mean,
There's
that picture
Yeah.
right there,
Yeah.
that picture right there, that picture right there could have a lady in the window. Okay. And you may want it not cropped. I mean, you may want it like it is,
all right. Listen, Mr.
or you may
Voyer.
want to crop it in.
I just might redo my eagle photos.
Yeah. And this is where you'll find the benefit is for a lot of those wildlife photos where, wildlife, insects. So if you don't have a macro lens,
Oh,
but you have a close-up lens, all right, because there's a difference. If you don't have a macro lens, you can use your close-up lens, get as close as you can to the insect, and then enlarge it and crop as if you had a macro lens.
oh, now you tell me I just bought a macro lens.
Well, if you have a macro
I-
lens, all right.
I-
Okay, wait a minute. If you
Okay.
have a macro lens, what's the biggest issue with a macro lens? Do you know yet?
No.
Your depth of field.
Yes, that I know. That I
Okay.
know. Yes, I do
That's
know
the
that.
biggest
Yes.
issue with any macro lens. All right.
Mhm.
So here it is. You have a macro lens. You can back off slightly to increase your depth of field because
Mhm.
you know you can crop and resize.
Oh, very good. Very
All right.
good. Yeah. Yeah, I went from a 60 macro to a 100. You saw my 60 macro at
Yep.
that show
Yep.
that time. So I wanted a 100 because 60 wasn't good enough, but I'm glad I bought it because it's a very good lens.
Yes. Is it the Canon
It-
100 macro?
it's a Canon one, yeah.
Yeah.
I also maybe it's control, maybe it's being anal, but I prefer to get as much in the camera as possible.
Oh yeah. Obviously. Yeah, for macro, your best bet also is to have off-camera flash to illuminate what you're shooting.
Okay.
So, all right. Any questions? Any questions on the enlargement?
Yes.
Yeah.
Watching my resolutions kind of bit. Where is that button under what menu item?
For which one?
What we're doing where you press, the high resolution tool
Oh,
settings.
that is in detail.
Detail, okay.
And they added this section here.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
It's a bad word, I'm going to say it, but I know with these two tools regarding denoise and enlargement, I no longer have to use Topaz.
Well, okay, not to knock Topaz, but one of the things, I have enough subscriptions that I have
Mhm.
to deal with
Yes.
to buy another subscription just for the noise didn't make sense to me. I'm not getting any benefit from buying a third party program to do something that, one, none of my images need because none of my clients ask for it. Okay. And two, something that I can very easily do within Lightroom and or Photoshop without having to fork out more money.
But Adobe just came up with it. I've been using Topaz for years.
Yep. Topaz. Well, if we do a side by side, Topaz still does a better job, hands down. I can't argue that. Topaz is still a better tool, but again, you have to pay extra for that tool if your work requires it. If you are a fine art photographer, the question you need to ask is, will my work suffer without that tool? If the answer is yes, then you invest in that tool. If the answer is no, which is in my case, because nobody cares that I have, super clean, images, because I give them clean images to begin with, it doesn't make sense for me.
And
You know?
Adobe is catching up to, because I mean, I'm with Luminar Neo and Topaz and Adobe, but Adobe is just catching up now to what I did in Luminar Neo 2 years ago.
Right.
It
Yeah.
had better
Yeah.
erase capabilities. It had power line removal capabilities. It had a lot better cloning and a lot better erase, and other factors.
Right.
So Adobe now is catching up to the other two, in my estimation. You
Right.
know,
Right.
so I've had those subscriptions to get me to do what I'm doing, and now Adobe is putting it into their stuff.
Right. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Um, uh, all right. So anyway, the other things, just very, very quickly, and we can switch to this. Um, what else have they done? They added tethering capabilities for a bunch of Fuji cameras and the newer Canon cameras. They've improved performance enhancements. So there's one of the things that every program, it doesn't matter, whether it's Adobe or, Microsoft or, any program, anytime they make major improvements on it, and in this case, we're going into the AI improvements, anytime they add these advanced functions, one of the things that happens is it uses up computing resources. So there's always that fight of, how much can we, expect the customer's computer to keep up with the software. All right. So one of the things that they do is every time they put in new stuff, they rework the code and see, hey, how can we save resources? So there's some better responsiveness. Navigation and development modules have gotten some tweaks, and masking and switching.
For these new ones, do you need credits? Does it use up credits?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I use I use it quite a bit, so I've never.
I mean, I'm just asking because we do with the subscriptions, we do have so many credits a month or so many
Yeah,
credits,
it's like
what have you.
2,000 credits. It's a
I was
lot.
just wondering whether
Yeah.
these actions go against those or not.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll have to look that up. Let's see. I don't know if I can give you that answer right now. Um, I know there is a way of checking your credit count. I know with uh, anything that uses Firefly, like in Photoshop, when you use anything that generates an image, it will um,
I mean,
cost you
theoretically,
credit.
you're using AI is using their computers. I mean, it's not
Yeah,
using your
yeah.
onboard stuff. So
But within Lightroom, I don't know if that's a good question. I'll have to
that's
get back to you
yeah, that's fine.
because I don't know that answer off the top of my head. All right. Um, let's see. Anybody use XMP sidecart?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So they've improved the automatic XMP writing. So when you're editing and you have sidecart XMP files, it will automatically update it. Um, it's gotten better. So I guess there were some problems before where it had problems writing to the XMP file. Okay.
Oh, I never had a problem. Okay.
They've made improvements on detecting duplicate files, especially when you import, and improvements on relinking files when you lose a file in your library. You know, whether it gets moved accidentally or on purpose. They made modifications to that, makes it easier to find your files. And that's pretty much it for everything in Lightroom up to now, up to the latest version. Okay. Any last minute questions?
Yeah, I had a question.
Okay.
With
Yes.
AI, you use the word generative.
Right.
Um, if I export, do I have to check that box? If I said I use generative AI, if I do something like remove a person from your car photo, technically, in my mind, the people there were not a major part of the picture.
Right.
So technically, do I have to say that, check that box?
Okay. What are you exporting those files for? Are you selling
Just
them?
for me, if it were competition, I would look at the roles and like I obviously I in the regular North Haven Camera Club thing, there's no way I could have entered that.
Yeah.
That was wrong even before AI. But if I were uh, exhibiting and the rules did not say anything about getting rid of things like that. Case in point, Berlin Fair says no digital manipulation. And a friend of mine, and a
Uh,
friend, I know, and a friend of mine said, well, you could get away with lighting and that type of stuff because, dodging and get away with dodging burning and that type of stuff. He thinks it doesn't mean that, but it said no digital manipulation. But I would consider if I got rid of the people, I would consider that digital
right.
manipulation.
Right. Yeah, so some of those, like the Berlin Fair, they're probably dealing with antiquated rules
Yes.
made by non-photographers, maybe, you know.
Yes.
So, yeah, that to me speaks of somebody who does not know photography. Because the minute I modify an image, with color correction, exposure correction, I crop, strain out my horizon. All right. These are all part of what I call normalizing an image. These are processes that are designed to make not make your image, this extraordinary beautiful piece of art, but correcting things that the camera wasn't able to do in the field, or minor mistakes, because I carry a big rig. All my images always come out crooked. I'm always having to correct because it's a heavy piece
Well,
of kit.
denoise, even if you use denoise, it would
Even,
be,
yes,
because had you used the right lighting, you wouldn't have the noise to deal with.
exactly. So all those things I would not consider, uh, detrimental edits.
Okay.
Although technically they are all digital edits, because if you shoot with a digital camera, anything you do is a digital edit.
Mm-hmm.
So that is anachronistic in my opinion, and needs to be revisited and looked at and reworded to better reflect the modern photography regulations that they want to impose on their submissions. All right. So if you know somebody in the judging committee, you might want to bring that up, because in essence, it can be argued that that is an unfair rule,
Okay.
because that would void every entry,
Including
every single entry. It would be voided
including
because of that one rule.
including anything that Ansel Adams ever did.
Well, no,
Well, he
because
did dodging and burning.
wait, the key word is digital.
Okay, thank you.
Keyword is digital. Yeah.
Okay.
Any analog processes is obviously exempt from that regulation. But then again, how do you prove an image that you're seeing up on the wall was captured and processed with an analog camera? You can't tell.
Yeah.
It's a physical print. You don't know what generated that physical print. All right. The physical print itself is analog. Well, yeah, no, even that can be a digital print. All right. There's a certain amount of analog process to it, but it's a digital print,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So anything that comes from a digital file is automatically going to get processed. Even if you just take it out of the camera, upload the file in its raw format to the printer, and the printer takes it, runs it through their printer, it's modified. There's color correction being applied. All right. There's a certain amount of exposure correction being applied. All right. So that file is being normalized for the printer. So technically, that digital file has been modified. All right. But wording aside, getting back to the AI issue. All right. So the AI regulations are in constant flux. People don't know how to deal with AI, generative AI. All right. So one of the problems is the term AI, which refers to artificial intelligence, is kind of like too much of a blanket description or label. All right. Because we have tools within Lightroom that analyze the brightness of an image and will automatically adjust the brightness levels of your image to make it better. Nothing generative about that. All it's doing is it's analyzing the levels and applying a certain amount of adjustments that you would normally do on your own previously. All right. I remember before AI, I had a preset that automatically reduced my highlights, boosted my shadows, boosted my contrast, boosted my texture. I applied that across the board to all my images that went into Lightroom. Okay. Now I don't have to do that because we have adaptive color, which does that for me automatically on a per image basis. So it looks at this image, which I shot in full daylight, and says, okay, we got to make these changes. And then these images that I shot indoors in lower light gets a slightly different modification. And these here that were shot in the dark get a slightly different modification. So it analyzes each one independently and makes the determination of how much to modify the images in order to normalize it for me ahead of time, cutting down my time of editing. Now, does that it would a normal person consider that a detrimental digital edit that would invalidate an image from being entered into a competition? Sensibly, the answer would be no. All right. Because these are things that we would have done manually anyway. All right. And again, discussing the digital editing thing aside, all right, it's still digital manipulation, but it's part of the typical editing process that we would do, which back in the day we would have done it in a dark room. All right. Where some of the regulations regarding AI come in is when we are using generative AI. All right. So generative AI means that the computer is generating something that was not originally in the image. Okay. So now if we think about, well, I'm just removing a distraction, I would have done that manually in the past by taking bits and pieces from here and here and here in order to, remove the person. All right. Now we're doing it a little bit cleaner because AI can analyze that, hey, this is the person, this is what's around it, and it's going to generate new pixels to cover up where that person's standing. Okay. And now the question has to be asked, is that allowed? Okay. Because we have to weigh it. Previously, this was handwork. It could still be done, but it took a time and effort and skill on the part of the photographer with his editing capabilities. Make sense? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now we're handing it over to a computer that can do it faster and better, removing the photographer as editor out of the equation.
Now you look at changing the background and sky removal.
All right.
Or
well, yeah.
painting
So
the sky.
I'm building up to that.
Okay.
Because, and you're right. Okay. We're looking at, a small instance of removing, a distraction. Okay. Now we up it to changing the sky. Okay. It can still be done manually, but now we can do it much faster with AI. All right. The dilemma comes is, all right, how much do we allow a computer aided manipulation in relation to the skill of the photo editor. Okay. One can argue that, well, making masks using AI has become better. It just speeds the process, but the photographer is still making the decisions behind those edits and how they're edited and what's being used to replace it. Okay. Which in essence, when you do a sky replacement, you're picking out what sky is going to go in to replace it. Okay. And me personally, I'm okay with those kinds of edits because if it can be done manually, great. Okay. But now, if we say, okay, here's a picture of a street that I took that's got no people, it would be better if I had a pretty girl standing there and I tell the computer, hey, give me a pretty girl standing in the doorway. And boom, now all of a sudden I generated something that was not there and something that I never took a picture of. That's where we start having problems. Okay. And I think that's probably where, if you look at the majority of competition rules, that's kind of what they're trying to avoid. They're trying to avoid the computer doing all the work and generating something beautiful that otherwise you would never be able to accomplish yourself. All right. There's a place for that, but maybe not in a photographic competition. All right. Now, there are different levels, different categories of competition. One of them is the artistic competition where compositing is allowed. Okay. So with a compositing category, you can take your base photograph or several photographs, combine them together, which I do all the time in my commercial work. You've seen my splash photography photos and my my exploded views. Those are all frames that I took separately and I composited them into the final product. Okay. But when it comes to artistic, sometimes we go to other sources like clip art or stock imagery, all right, where somebody else took a photo of an asset that we are now using into our composite. All right. So, for example, I want a picture of a pretty girl swinging on a swing hanging from the moon. I don't have a moon photo. So I go to NASA. NASA has 1 million of them. They're free to use. I grab one of those, pop it in, and make my composition. Is that allowed? Well, most categories is not until you get into the artistic categories. All right. And often they'll have some kind of disclaimer saying you can only have X number of assets or a certain percentage of outside assets, something that you did not photograph yourself, to use in your imagery. And then you just got to, play with that. And in most cases, and Mark will back me up with this, with these categories, you need to show what assets you used. All right. So you'll present your finished image, and in a separate file, you will have all the assets listed that went into that image. Okay. And part of the problem is with AI generation, you may not need to have all these extra sources because you can just make them up. You can say, hey, I need a dog sitting on the stoop here. I need a cow in this field. All right. So now with the click of a few buttons and a description and a text box, bam, you have photographic asset that was generated from nothing. And this is where the competition rule makers need to be very clear on what can and can't be used in what categories. So having that blanket statement of no digital manipulation, it's too blanket. You know, if you're going to enter that competition, I would question them. And you have the right to question the competition rules.
Okay.
All right. So hopefully that answered all, that covered all the bases for
Thank you.
so.
Yes.
Okay. And Mark, I know you've entered competitions in the past. If you want to add anything to that, please feel free.
I think you covered it really well. It really depends on the rules of the competition.
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah. By the way, everybody, Mark is a programmer, and he is responsible for a judging program that competition judges use for judging imagery. So, if anybody should know,
thanks for the
this
plug.
guy
Doc.
right here.
So yeah, what I have found is that the competitions I've been associated with haven't been so good about spelling it out in terms of AI generated artwork or photography yet. I think they're coming around to doing that. I think they need to come around to spelling it out, just like you say. So I guess buyer beware. Yeah, pay attention to details and ask questions.
Yeah, like I said, I would definitely question the regulations because if something looks blatantly unfair to a majority of the entries, you know, then it's an unfair competition.
Mm-hmm. And when it's not spelled out what's being accepted and what's not, then you get entries that have some,
Yeah,
and
actually,
the
you see
others are
that.
thinking
Yeah, you
they
see that
can't.
all the time, right? You see
Mhm.
entries in wrong categories
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
they flirt the rules, you know. So
Yeah, and if it's not spelled out, then it happens even more.
yeah, yeah. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate your input on that.
Thank you, Duck.
Anybody else with questions, comments? Okay. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Remember, next week is we're going to have a ton more people. So please be friendly. Welcome everybody. Hopefully afterwards we'll be able to retain some more people for our regular Mondays. Okay.
Good.
All right, guys. Stay safe. Stay cool. All right. I know the
Yes.
temperature's been kind of crazy lately. And we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Doc.
Thanks, Doc.
All right, guys. Stay
Good night.
safe.
Thank you for watching Learning Photography with Duck. Brought to you in association with Milford Photo, your local full-service camera store. Located in downtown Milford, Connecticut, Milford Photo offers you a personalized shopping experience. From the latest camera gear to printing and framing services. And, of course, educational workshops to teach you the finer aspects of photography. Don't forget to tell them Duck sent you.